All right, hello. So today we are going to be going over line 38 in your Standard of Excellence Red Book. This is titled Mary Ann. The first thing we're going to notice when we look at Mary Ann is that it looks a little bit longer than some of the other lines that we've done before. So we're going to count how many measures we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 measures. So it's a little bit longer than what we've normally done in the past. So before we get started, we're going to kind of look up here, and you're going to see, if you're looking at the very beginning of the line, the first thing you'll see is the clef. You will either have a treble or a bass clef. As indicated up here, treble clef instruments are all the higher sounding instruments, and bass clef instruments are all the lower sounding instruments. Now, right next to that, many of you are going to have a key signature. For this one, if you play clarinet or trumpet, your key signature is blank. You got nothing. All your notes are natural. But if you play something like the saxophone, you might see a sharp on that very top line. So we're going to use our hand staff for the treble clef really fast. Remember that our lines, we use them as every good boy does fine. So if we're looking at the very top line, every good boy does fine, that sharp is sitting on the F line. So that means all of your sharps, no matter where they are, or all of your Fs, no matter where they are on the staff, are going to be sharp. So if I write a first space F right here, that marker does not work. If I write a first space F right there, that note will also be sharp. So this will be an F sharp, this note up here will be an F sharp, and for those of you that are really, really curious, this note up here would be an F sharp. And that's actually one of the higher notes saxophone can play. Now, some of you, if you play bells or flute or trombone or euphonium, you're actually going to have flats in your key signature. So I drew this up on the bass clef, but we're going to use our hand staff for the bass clef. Remember that for the bass clef, we say, good burritos don't fall apart. So our bottom line is going to be good. Second line is burritos. Third is don't. Fourth is fall. Last one is apart. So good burritos. This first flat sign that we see is on the B line. So all of your B's are going to be flat. And guess what? For right now, B flat's the only note you know. You don't know B natural. We're not going to go over B natural for a while. Then we have our spaces as well. So the same for the bass clef spaces, if we're going back to our hand staff, is all cows eat grass. Again, that's going to be all cows eat grass. So all cows eat. So all of our E's are also going to be flat, which at this point, probably most of us have only learned E flat. We haven't learned E natural yet. So this is just, composers have key signatures so that they don't have to write in, this note is flat, this note is sharp, this note is natural. And a lot of the times they did that back in the day because the cost of printing and the cost of ink was so expensive that if they had to write every single note as flat, sharp, or natural, it would have just amped up the cost of music. So key signatures really made music printing more affordable. Now we're going to look at Mary Ann. So we're going to count and finger the first two measures. Should be pretty easy. Make sure you're tapping your foot. 1, 2, and ready, go. 1, 3, 1, 3. All right, very good. So now we're actually going to look at the two measures directly below it. So we looked at measures 1 and 2, now we're looking at measures 9 and 10. You're going to notice the rhythm is different, but the notes are actually the same. So that's going to make those two measures a little bit easier. So now we're going to count measures 9 and 10. And ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 3, 4. All right, so just looking at that, you're using all the same fingers. The rhythm's just a tiny bit different. Now we're going to look at measure 3 and 4. Here's what you're going to see. What is this thing separating these two notes? It's a bar line. Very good. And these two notes are connected by a tie. So remember, a tie means that connects two notes that are the same, that are the same. A slur connects two notes that are different. So these are both half notes, and a half note is worth how many beats? Very good, 2. So 2 plus 2 equals 4. Very good. Now, the reason we can't write this as a whole note is that if you're looking at measure 3, there are already 2 beats there. So beat placement 1 and 2 is taken. So the easiest way to write it is just a half note tied to another half note. And then we have 2 quarter note rests after that if we're looking at measures 3 and 4. Or you could also look at measures, oh, looky there, measures 11 and 12. Same thing. So we're actually going to count measures 3 and 4 first. 1, 2, and ready, count. 1, 2, 3. So those 2 tied notes, remember that you hold it out for 4 beats, but it's going to be 8 pulses. So we're going to try playing the first 4 measures. 1, 2, 4 measures, go. And making sure that you count through your 2 rests. You can do that if you want to stop playing once you're done with that note and clap, clap, or you could also say rest, rest. So that's pretty good. Now, if you look at the next 4 measures where it says tutti measures 5 through 8, you're going to notice that the rhythm is pretty similar. We're not even going to count and finger that. But just know the rhythm is pretty similar. And we're also going to see this tied note again, where we have 2 beats tied to another 2 beats, 2 half notes tied together. So now we're going to go back and we are going to play the entire top line. So this is measures 1 through 8. 1, 2, and ready. Rest. And there we go. Remember, in going into measure 5, when you're in measure 4, that very last beat, that quarter note rest, you need to breathe there so that when we start measure 5, you have air, enough air in order to play on. So we're going to try one more thing. We're going to play the last 4 measures. Now, we already talked about how, or the last 4 measures, the last 8 measures. We already talked about how 9, 10, 11, and 12 look really, really similar to the first 4. Now what I want you to do is I want you to look at measures 5 through 8 and 12 through 16. Almost the same thing. The only thing that's really changed is the very last note that you play. So I think we play 9 through 16 together. Make sure to articulate your quarter notes and have everything very smooth and connected. 9 through 16. 1, 2, and ready. Rest. All right. Now, if we're looking at the very last measure, there is one other difference. We have a half note bar line and then a quarter note that's tied to it. So that's going to be 2 plus what? 1. 2 plus 1 is going to equal, easy math, 3 beats. So we're going to hold that last note out for a total of 3 beats or 6 pulses. Make sure you're tapping your foot. I think we're ready to play all of line 38, Mary Ann. But we're going to take this a hair faster. And what I want you to do is take a 2 count breath. So when I count you off this time, it's going to be 1, 2, play here. Sounds good. We're going to go just a little faster. 1, 2. Good. Make sure you take those 3 beats of rest at the end. But that's all. That's Mary Ann. Feel free to watch this video as many times as you need to practice it. Thank you.